Everybody coming out to this thing. First of all, we're going to talk about last night's meeting. I got to apologize to the way it went last night. There was certain things done that was not appropriate. I will say one thing about the mask mandate that we have here. That was put in place by me. I take full responsibility for that. But you cannot come here, which some board members did, and say I did not do nothing soon enough, then turn around the next day, which is today, and have people calling me to take it away. That does not work. That's like talking out two sides of your mouth, because that's exactly what they did. Okay, the first of this week, we were threatened by board members to give them the payroll. It was considered payroll by Steve Messer, and I agreed with him that we're not going to give it to them. And the word was that they could sue if they wanted. Well, that's exactly what I said. I told Val Stratton she could sue for the payroll if she wanted that, but we was not going to give it to her. So that was so basically what she was wanting was department heads. Like say Vince's job here, clubhouse manager. She was wanting a piece of paper that said clubhouse manager on it and say what, it wouldn't say his name, but it would say what he made. The same way with Captain Schubert, the same way with Lynn, the same way with Carol. So you was going to know right off exactly what they made. That was wrong. And for you to turn around, like I will say this, first this week, he chased a member in this community, like a resident, out here in the parking lot. And this is, I'll say his name, Rich Stratton, chased his name, chased a resident and said he was going to sue Brookridge and put us in receivership. Then he said he was called Governor DeSantis and say, complain about the mask mandate. Then last night's meeting, he says I didn't do stuff quick enough. And then he wants the mask mandate disappear today. So that tells you that you change your mind from one day to the next, change your mind one day to the next. Okay. All right. What happened last year? Oh, and I will address this because I've been accused of leaving them out of the loop. Okay, they are being left out of the loop because when the stunt that was pulled in July caused them to be left out of the loop because of certain things that were done and let by with. And then I find out they contested the election, and then they don't tell nobody that they did that, and we find out that it's like stabbing you in the back the whole time. So what are we supposed to do? Say, okay, pat you on the back, say, good job, I'll give you this stuff? No, because of the stuff done last year and the mistakes made, why would you want them making decisions? And this is a great example. You change your mind from one day to the next like you did this week with that. Why would you want to give them decision making on something else to give input? A great example is they sent me an email saying, why don't you go to Sam's Club and try to get a Sam's card to get the cash rewards. I go over there, I give my name, I get the regular card, and come to find out, I can't get the credit card because it has to go in my own name. It don't go in Brookridge's own name, so you cannot get the cash rewards or the cash, the cash back, or you don't get the 5% more off discount off gas. So why would you even do that? Nobody would do that. Put their name up to say for gas. So I got a card, a different card, which is the plus, and that way they can get gas at the pumps, but they got to use like the Visa card we got here to use. So you'll see that. So they are be able to get gas at Sam's Club. Okay, as far as, let's see, what information, I think the question last night was what the RV compound pays for the lights. Okay. That meter, it was set up to where originally that meter to most of the lights down there go to Billy's building. The new ones that got put in are on a different meter, but Billy does not know what meter that's on. So, how the bill comes, it's billed to us, sent to us, and then it's paid out of, a certain part of it's paid out of donation, out of the donated funds. So the RV compound does not get the bill for the lights. It goes strictly to the BCPO. And that's how that's set up. And I don't know exactly what meter it's on now for the six, is it 6 lights that went in the middle of the RV compound. Okay, another question came up is like, who's running Brookridge? That's another question that came up after last night's meeting, one of the phone calls I got. I will say that most of the decisions, or practically all the decisions, are made by me. I will take the credit for it or take the blame for it. If it's bad decision, then it's on me. Somebody said, well, why don't you rein in something? I said, you think about it. When you see somebody around here making a kind of like a dog and pony show like last night, you basically, well, you know they're in charge for like, or whatever, for 2 hours. That don't mean they're in charge of what goes on here in Brookridge. By the decision made, I tell Vince, like if I got something for Vince to do, like to get the tennis courts resurfaced or the parking lot redone, that is my decision. Also, if I don't listen to people, or if people think I don't listen well, I will say this to Lucy DeGuire because I know she's in the audience. The handicap parking down here where that tree was, that got expanded because that was your idea. So don't think for 1 minute I don't listen to people and taking into account what is going on. Because I did listen to you when you talked to me in the gym. Okay, the other thing is I listened last night, and me personally, I looked at this budget thing to figure out exactly what the pay was and everything, and on the budget, even though it got passed and sent out. Well, I put down all the people that work in the Gar Shack, like for 7 days. I did the same thing with Tim and Peter. I did the same thing with Norma, the 5 days she worked, and then I added the hours they work times what their pay is. Then I took the basis of what a floater would do if they filled in for sick pay. Well, 1 month, the month of March or April 1, they used 100 hours of floaters, which means somebody was sick and they got charged COVID time and all this stuff. So I said that times 12. Okay, my figure on this budget, when I looked at this thing, okay, it shows $454, well, that's right, $454,000 for code enforcement. Okay, when I get over here to the last page where it says wages and salary at the top for the 2022 proposed budget, this figure says $380,000. When I figured it all up, my figure came to $370,000. So it was $10,000 off from that standpoint. So, because at first I was not going to agree with the budget myself. And that's why I was thinking about maybe having a special meeting next week. But we had a meeting with Jen from Print Shack, and she's going to print out the budget to be sent out. And the only way she can get it out is she needs to have it within the next day or two. So it was not like if it went a week's delay, we would not get to the snowbirds in time. So if anybody's got any question about anything, I'll try to answer it. First thing I will say that this mask mandate, it will last till at least October the 4th. It's not going to be changed before then. It's not going to be changed. It may be changed that day, but it's not going to be changed before then. So if anybody's got, okay, yes. We got a microphone up here. Okay.
One thing I got to ask is, on this budget, I know we were going back and forth with it, there were numbers and all that. And I know you guys put a lot of time in it. How can you be confident that your budget's gonna be great without an audit? I mean, the audit's been dragging their feet for 3 or 4 years. How can we confidentially say, well, this is the budget we're gonna have? Is a maybe budget, I don't know, how's that work?
Okay, as far as being confident on the budget goes, like I explained before with the audit, this is the first time you've heard about it, I guess. The auditor, we're not getting the depreciation schedule from the previous auditors, which is Master and Company that did it last year. So they're not giving it to us. They're just, all we're getting is like total numbers. We're not getting a percent of what it's supposed to be, like taken off. And for somebody to say that we should get it from the IRS don't have it because they do not get sent the schedule, they get sent the numbers. So that's a misconception that, because we looked at all the papers we got back from the IRS, does not have no schedule with it. They all have like 15,000 or 10,000 or 5,000. But as far as the budget goes, the figures of it were based on it being zero carryover for next year. Also, you got to remember that this budget has what we plan to make on the news and views, which is estimated other income, which had been being $1,000 a year was what we get paid for it, but now we're trying to get close to $30,000 a year out of it because we're getting paid for the advertisement. Also, we did not figure in the Friday night bingo in this budget because we didn't know whether it was going to start back up or not. But I've heard they were going to start back up. So that can be anywhere additional 10, 20,000. I don't know what the figure is going to be exactly on that. Also, you got to remember this budget says $48.30, but it's rounded down to $48. That 30 cents per lot per month is roughly right around $10,000. So actually it's 10,000 less for the total the subtotal or the assessments up there. The 1.3 million, $69,000. So it's going to be $10,000 less that we'll take in. Okay. I'd be glad to answer the next question. Come on up to the podium, or I'll see if I can answer it. If I can't, I'll get back to you next week.
I don't have a question, but I'd like to come up and say something.
Okay.
I'm speaking today because I wanted to say how disappointed I am with the Strattons and Mark Keller and how they handled themselves last night and some previous meetings. There's no respect for you, Jerry, or your title. Therefore, I'm also disgusted with the 3 ladies that were sitting in front of me last night. I don't have their names, but I'm sure they know who they are. They had a phone in their hand, and they had pre-taped this little message. It was not a nice one. And every time you talked, Jerry, they put this little thing on their phone, and it would go off. And I don't know if you were aware of that. But shame on them. I also feel that Vice President Gale shouldn't take over your meetings. These are your meetings, and you're the president. We have plenty of issues in the park, and we need to work as one to get them resolved. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I can address the issue with sometimes like if I've had a long day or something like that, I don't like snap off like answers to questions like a snap of the finger. So she kind of jumps into that, but I know some people think that she takes over meetings, but I'm sorry they feel that way. But in reality, is it like any decision that's made outside of that, it's like I basically got final say. So also, I will say that a truck has been purchased. It'll be here tomorrow. So I do know the dealership, son, Toyota has it, and we're picking it up tomorrow. Okay, anybody else have a question about anything? Okay, go ahead, Lucy.
Okay, I'm glad to hear the truck is finally coming. Oh, excuse me. I am glad that finally a truck is coming. I was going to address an issue regarding the truck, but now it's definitely a done deal. You know what I was going to talk about. I gave you a heads up. But I think it would be stirring the waters in the wrong direction because it's a done thing. I just wished, and that's how I'll end it, that there were people organized to understand the need versus a person's decision as to what he wanted to get to a certain point that it would be better for Brookridge in the long run to get a different outcome. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let me address what she just said about the truck. Okay, that decision made to buy the truck was more than just what somebody wanted, like code enforcement wanted the truck. That truck, because it's got a lifetime warranty and it can be used for other things to haul things, that truck will be not traded in when the value, like code enforcement needs a new vehicle. It will go to public works or it'll come up here to be used. So that truck will never be traded in, and because of that program they have, like you're talking about, the lifetime warranty will stay in effect as long as we own it. Plus, we know we're going to get $1,000 off. Let's see if I got that paper here. Okay, under this $5,000 Advantage Club, which is giving us, it's like $10,000 off. 10% off service, off labor, 10% off genuine Toyota accessories, lifetime warranty on all new and pre-owned vehicles, complimentary 3-day exchange policy, $1,000 off your next Toyota purchase, complimentary car wash with service, complimentary first 2 oil changes on pre-owned vehicles, and complimentary 2-year Toyota care on new vehicles. So that's the reason it was not because we could have got something else and you could trade in or you could sell in like 5 years whenever they get ready to buy another vehicle. But it's a plan on keeping it and using it because it's got the lifetime warranty. Plus, it can be used for other things. I know the comment was made that if, like, you can pick up stuff and throw stuff in the back if you run over a dead animal out the street, or Billy can pick it up in one of his little tractors. But anyway, that's where it boils down to. As far as what I know about it, right now I know it's going to be they do not have any 4 cylinders. It's going to be a 6-cylinder model. And I don't know the color, but it's going to be here tomorrow afternoon. Okay.
Because you went further, I'd like to go further also. Anything at that dealership that we bought, whether a truck, car, or anything, was going to have all of those things included, not just the truck. Just wanted to clarify that point. It wasn't particular for the truck. And the other part is, I wish when there's a big purchase item being considered, if there's no rush to make a decision, you had spoken during your time of saying, I'd like to get people involved with big decisions, and it doesn't seem like that occurred. I'm not faulting anybody for it, but it would have been a good point to do that, because I don't know who got involved with making that final decision. And I did hear different things which I wrote about and you know about. I don't need to bring that up. But when you think of the mileage, 18 to 20 miles to the gallon with a truck versus a hybrid, and they had many hybrids to choose from, which would have been a compromise between electric, which I guess we weren't ready for, and the regular gas guzzler. And you're talking about any hybrid, we'll say the Corolla, it would have been 50 miles plus per gallon of gas. And that's quite a difference. And when you think of how far they go around here, how many hours they put in, and how slow they go, in order to look for violations, they're almost crawling. This would be a consideration that I felt would have made a difference. And if you had a group of people getting together to talk about the pros and cons, I think that would have been a very important element to consider. But like I say, it's a done deal now, so we'll go with it.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, anybody else got any question or comment about anything?
There we go. I happened to be in the back of the room last night, Jerry, when that entourage started their shenanigans. I have a hearing loss to begin with. And there were all sorts of distractions and stuff like that. The one thing that I did pick up on is that an employee was sitting there bragging about Rich Stratton being up there, being the only one cleaning that admin. I got some sad news for you. I got almost 8.5 hours up there. Now, if that employee is going to be allowed to exaggerate the truth, I've heard at one time that we used to hold our employees to a higher standard. Is that standard going to be enforced?
Yes. Yes, that standard will be enforced. There will be a discussion with her and probably a write-up as well. Okay, next question. Any other questions? Comments?
Are you guys going to be able to come to peace up there?
Come to peace? Well, I will say this. I've always said that, you know, we try to work on things, or the goal was for me when I took office was to try to bring stuff together and change culture. But, you know, you want to work with things like, say, the Memorial Day golf cart parade was one of them I thought was a good idea to bring the community together. And thought the poker run was a great deal and everything. But then you find out what happened in July. It's like, I mean, that's going to knock you on the head, because you're thinking like, you know, you want to work together with somebody, and then all along they've been saying that you're not capable, something's wrong with you mentally because you had a stroke, and then they disputing the election results and things like that. So I'm willing to go on like I was trying to do last night, was trying to move on. But, you know, you can't when some people don't want to go on. And also, what you find out was things like I understand last night there was comments made that they went through a lot last year and things like this, but they also, I understand that, you go through a lot, but I also understand that when you don't pay the reserves 1 month and you don't, nobody checks to see if bingo's back and things like that, well, you say that this board's gonna blame that board. Well, if there's not what they're saying is gonna happen, like, for example, if we know there's not the 88,000 carryover, well, what do you do? So it's gonna be, you're gonna be scrambling into this year to make it up. And then I always knew when I took office that we were going to try to do things to draw people in from the outside, like to charge them when they come through the gate for like music in the park up here at the clubhouse. Well, one person can't do it all. That's why we formed the social committee to take care of it. Well, certain people one person quit the social committee because they did not get their way. So that kind of killed that idea because there's only so much I can do. So, and then you got COVID coming back too. That hampers things. But we have planned to make sure that my intention is not to close anything up. My intention is just primarily do the mask mandate, and the numbers go down, then we'll go back to probably no mask mandate. If you got vaccinated, then you don't have to wear a mask. But it can't be right now because the transmission rate still, like I said last night, it's ended up being, it was 21.76% last night was the positivity rate last night. So to me, that's one out of basically about every 5 people. Then it shows new hospitalizations. This says that Hernando County should wear a mask in public. And it says that the county transmission is high, and that's the 7-day metrics of the county. So that's kind of what we're going by. That's why we didn't open up till June 14th, everything back up, because it was still saying, what was it saying then, Vince? Do you remember? What the CDC was saying then, back in May and 1st of June? It was saying something similar to that, so we have a responsibility to the residents here to try to do our best to keep it from spreading. That was the main goal.
They basically told you if you were vaccinated, you didn't need to wear a mask, right?
Yeah, and then now it's like, people complain that it's like we got to do what we can to keep everybody safe, and then less than a week later, I'm getting told that you need to open things back up because people won't come to the shows if they got to wear a mask. So if somebody's got a simple solution to that, and I told somebody that today, they said, well, what about the people that you're not being fair to the people who's been vaccinated? I said, what about the people scared of the vaccination? They spent money to the shows. Did they get their money back for tickets? They couldn't answer me. So it's basically that comes to a no-win situation. And because the Delta variant is so contagious that you're basically better off trying to do a mask mandate, try to keep everybody as safe as possible. I will say that we had scare in the office. I can say this because Carol's back to work now, but that's why she was out, because she thought she'd been exposed to COVID. So that's why she was not here the last 2 or 3 days. She come back in with a negative test. I think her granddaughter had it, and she saw them over Monday, but we started a mask mandate on Monday, so that was the reason for that. So, but she was never, her and her husband never was positive, and they had the vaccine. So, okay, any other questions? I'll try to answer. Go ahead.
I got a comment to make. I know the employees before the end of this budget that was budgeted last year. And how are we gonna cover that if it wasn't part of the budget?
Okay, we figured out that probably the best way to cover it for going up next week is when it goes up. I mean, next pay period is when it goes up, is to, mainly we're gonna try to use the money we're making off of the news and views, cause right now it's like an extra, I think I wanna say it's extra 10, like close to $10,000 over, but, Patron is trying everything it can to get as many people advertising as possible. And also, we have not spent no money, so as far as, buying things, and we cut the contract out with the computer people, consultants, once they got the new computers in, everything, that $595, $595 went away. That's another reason. Also, we've cut out, we know that people used to get paid for COVID pay. I think it ends the last week of this month. I think it ends on this pay period, I think. It's where we get a tax break back or a tax credit. So there is things, and that's why, that was one of the reasons I made sure we could get I put the Sam's Club card, I mean, only the membership. It's not like I can buy something, but it's in my name so they can use it at the gas pump to get gas and save money that way. As far as the number of trips going around here, I don't know how much that'll save, but, I'm gonna get with Lynn, probably tomorrow, and find out exactly what's owed left, how much the assessments are coming in for the end, from now to the end of the year, how much is the property tax gonna be in November, and also what is left to be paid on the insurance, to see how close it's going to be, because every year previous, and I won't say they did that last year, but I'm saying from years in the past, they've held back one of the reserve payments, is what I think, by looking at the sheet to make sure they had enough carryover money-wise to make it through the next year. And of course, there's nothing, well, I take that back. That's morally wrong. won't say it's illegal. It's also, if people pay their assessments, like by the year paying December for the next year, they can use that to pay November and December's bills. It's not illegal for them to do that because that's operating funds. So there is a way. Plus, there was a couple of accounts that were originally, there was an operating account that was used at Bank of America. I think it had $50,000 in it. That was not an operating account no more. It got down to just $50,000 and it was just sitting there. So, but you can see where in QuickBooks that it was used at one time for an operating account. So that's where some money would come from. Let's see, what else was it? Also, you will notice that there's going to be another thing that might help that we learned this week. I don't have one, but Vince has it. It's the time card. Time card is the time sheet is a good example. What was happening here, and what's been happening for years, I don't know, how long has it been going on, Vince? As far as being paid on Wednesday, for Wednesday when you ain't even worked yet on Wednesday. I don't know, okay.
Probably early as 2002.
Okay, yeah, since then, what's been happening with the times, I won't say it's a common thing, but what's been happening with the timesheets timesheets, it goes from, Thursday to Wednesday, right? Okay. So the second week, we turned in the timesheet from last week, we turned in on Wednesday morning. Well, the people's not worked that afternoon yet on Wednesday morning. Well, the people's not worked that afternoon yet are getting paid for that day. If they call in sick or something like that, then we run into a problem. They've already been paid for that day already because it shows up on their Friday direct deposit. And, so I don't know how much of a common occurrence is. I know it's happened a couple times this year. But there's gonna be certain things that I'm gonna look at if we're too close. Like for example, when somebody wants a copy of something like me, okay, some of this stuff's not important to, not really like classified. I will say,